am here because I want to discuss with you a movie that I watched the other night called Cold Mountain. Now, it's an older movie. It came out in like 2010. My reason for watching it in the first place was because I wanted to go back and watch some of Charlie Hunnam's earlier work. I happened to, a couple years ago, he's a recent discovery for me, Charlie Hunnam, as an actor. I randomly binge watched Sons of Anarchy about a couple years ago, I would say. And he plays the main character in this series named Jax Teller. But I had never heard of a Charlie Hunnam before watching this show. But I was fascinated. I was like, who is this guy? Why have I never heard of him before? What rock have I been living under? And then around the same time, King Arthur, Legend of the Sword came out, which I would have ended up watching anyway because I love the King Arthur legend. I love period pieces. And so it would have been something I would have ended up watching anyway. And then it was just like the cherry on top when I found out that the guy from Sons of Anarchy was the lead character in the King Arthur movie. So when I get interested in an actor like that, like if somebody is a new discovery for me, I usually try to go back and watch their previous work because I get very interested in kind of where they started out and how they progressed over the years. So one of his previous works was this movie called Cold Mountain, and he doesn't have like a huge part in this movie, but he plays this Confederate soldier named Bosie. Now, the premise of Cold Mountain, I will read it because I'm trying to stay on track and not ramble too much, okay? So, it basically tells the story of a wounded Confederate soldier, his name is Inman, who struggles on a perilous journey to get back home to Cold Mountain, North Carolina, and to Ada, his sweetheart, the woman he left behind. You guys, okay, so I originally started this movie because, again, I wanted to see Charlie Hunnam, the character Charlie Hunnam played, and you know, like, just assess previous characters he's played versus the things that he's doing now. You know what I'm saying? So this movie starts out, Emmett and Ada meet, there's sparks, but it's like, you know, this is an old-timey thing, so they're kind of dancing around this attraction of theirs, or whatever. He has to end up going off, the Civil War starts, and he has to end up going off to fight in this war as a Confederate soldier. And Ada is basically left behind. And the overall theme of this movie to me is basically how the horrors of war not only affects, of course, the people that are out there in the trenches fighting the war, but how it affects everything back home as well. Because Inman goes off to fight this war, and Ada is left in Cold Mountain, North Carolina. It's a farming town. Ada is not from Cold Mountain. She had to move there with her father because he was sick. And the doctor said the fresh air would be good for him. She knows nothing about farming. She's not stuck up or anything like that. This is just not her skill set. That's not how she grew up. So when he goes, and most of the viable young men in the town leaves for this war, and then her father ends up passing away, the farm just basically goes into disrepair. Ada doesn't know what to do, how to farm, how to care for animals. She can't basically fend for herself. She has to rely on the generosity of her neighbors to survive, and yada, 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 that type of thing. Now, Ada finally comes to her wit's end, basically trying to survive this. Years go by, and she's been writing to Inman, and finally he gets this letter. He's wounded. He's in the infirmary. He gets this letter that one of the nurses reads that basically is Ada saying, you know, all this stuff has happened, and I'm at my wit's end. I can't do it anymore. Come home. So Inman packs his shit up from the infirmary, and he heads home to Cold Mountain, North Carolina. And the things that this man goes through trying to get back home, and then the things that Ada goes through, I do love Ada's character arc. It's great because eventually this drifter named Ruby comes, and I think Ruby is my absolute favorite character out of this whole movie, comes to help her. And she's like, look, we're going to revitalize this farm. I'm going to teach you how to care for the animals, do everything that you need to learn how to do on a farm. I'm going to teach you. She said, but don't get it twisted. I'm not your servant. I'm not your maid. I ain't gonna be emptying chamber pots. Nothing like that. This is gonna be a partnership. So I love it because Ada ends up becoming, learns how to become self-sufficient and learns how to take care of herself with the help of Ruby. So to me, their separation was great for that because you got to see Ada's growth. Meanwhile, Inman over here, poor thing, is just going through hell and high water trying to get back home. He has so many setbacks. I swear it took this man at least a year, 2 years to get back home. Anyway, I'm originally watching, of course, this movie for the Charlie Hunnam character. And he plays this Confederate soldier that's stationed in Coal Mountain, North Carolina, basically to help round up any Confederate soldiers that ends up deserting and doing like punishment and stuff like that. So I'm originally watching for this, but like I said, this is kind of like a bit part, so he's just kind of in and out of this movie. So now I'm like completely invested. I'm completely invested in these people's lives. Like, I want to know what's going to happen to Inman, if he's ever going to make it home. I want to know what Ada is going to do. Is she going to be okay? Is she going to be able to eat? Whatever. Ruby, I love her. She is hilarious. And she knows her business, okay? She's like there to teach or whatever. At some point in this movie, so I'm invested. Like, I want to know what's going to happen with these characters now. At some point in this movie, Ruby's father, whom she's kind of estranged from, like, she just thinks he's no count. But he was a soldier in the war. He comes back. He deserts. He's like, I'm done. I'm tired of it. Forget it. Him and a couple of friends of his, they're like musicians, come back. They come to the farm. And Ada and Ruby help him out. They give him food, shelter, like clothes and stuff like that. Now, they're not supposed to do that. It's against the law. Like, you're not supposed to aid and abet, deserters or whatever. So they help them out, and then the guys move on. But they're not very savvy at, like, covering their tracks or anything like that. So they move on, and they travel up into the mountains, not far away from where this farm is. And the Confederate soldiers, the Charlie Hunnam character, and some other ones that are Bosie, I'm going to just call them Bosie, that are responsible for rounding up these Confederates, the deserters, find them. And they ended up, basically, ended up killing one of the musicians and the dad. One of them got away because he had been throwing up, so he was hiding. And he came back. They told Ruby and Ada what happened. He told Ruby and Ada what happened. And so Ruby and Ada get a horse, whatever. They go up into the mountains to try to find the bodies or whatever. They find the first guy, the musician, who ended up getting shot. And then Ruby's looking through the tree. She sees her dad's body. So she runs to him and finds out that actually Dad is still alive. He's still breathing. So they patch him up. This is towards the end of the film. They patch him up. And they, get the bullet out, stop the bleeding, all that stuff. And they stop at this, like, random little settlement in the mountains for him to rest and that kind of thing. Now, in this same kind of scene, this man starts coming. This man is walking toward them, and Ada pulls the gun. She's like, I don't know who you are, but you got to get out of here. We ain't here for no foolishness or whatever. Not realizing that his Inman finally come home. But anyway, eventually they figure out who each other are, okay? Now, poor Inman, he done been through, he done had to help this woman with her baby and fending off Union soldiers trying to steal food and rape this poor woman. He had gotten captured by a troop of Confederate soldiers that were responsible for rounding up deserters. And he had been captured by them. He had been shot. All kinds of foolishness trying to get home to Ada. So he finally makes it home. They finally reunite, yada, yada, yada. Or whatever. And they sit around talking around the fire. And then they go into, like, one of the cabins in this kind of weird little settlement that's in this mountain. And they dedicate themselves to each other. They intend on marrying each other when they get back down to the farm and all that kind of, everything gets settled. And they end up consummating their relationship that night. Okay, boom, bang. I'm happy we at the end of the movie. They finally together. He done finally made his way home. Everything is beautiful. Dad done survived over here. Great. This is lovely. Like, let's get back to this farm and get it popping. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, on their way back to the farm the next day, the ladies leave out first. But the men are kind of like right by. They're not that far behind. The ladies leave out first, and they get surrounded by the Confederate soldiers that are responsible for rounding up deserters. And they're like, oh, we know you made this coat for this person. You're not supposed to be helping deserters, yada, yada. So they're like held at gunpoint. And then Inman and the dad comes, and this whole melee of foolishness starts. And everybody dies. Not everybody. They somehow, most of the Confederate soldiers that are there to round them up are killed. One of them gets away, Bosie, Charlie Hunnam character. He gets away, and he leaves on his horse. And Emmett is like, okay, look, I done been through a lot trying to get back here, and I don't want this being held over my head. So I'm gonna go take care of this problem now. He said, because I'm not going back to that war. I don't want to see war again. I don't want to shoot anybody. I'm not here for it anymore. So he goes after Bosie. And they kind of have this like standoff on their horses, kind of like a duel, but not with the whole pacing thing or whatever. And he ends up killing Bosie. And when the gunshot booms, like all of these crows start flying out. And Ada sees it, and she starts running toward Emmett, because previously she had this weird vision of all these crows and this man falling. She runs towards where Emmett had gone to find Bosie to kill him or whatever. She finds Emmett. Lo and behold, he has been shot too, like through the chest. He's not breathing good. He's like laid out in the ground. And I'm like, lady, if you don't go get this man some help, like, can we, come on now, like, help the dude. He done went through, you don't even want to know what, trying to get back to you. And can you get this man some help, please? This is what I'm thinking in my head. And no, they have enough time to say basically, I love you and goodbye, because Inman then passes away. You guys, you talking about somebody pissed? I mean, I was pissed. Okay, you mean to tell me I sat here for 2.5 hours? Not even, didn't even start this movie because I was interested in your story. Started this movie just to see what was going on with this character over here. But now I'm invested. I care about you. I want to know what's... Emmett just got home. You had one night with this man, and now he's dead? Yeah, I'm telling you guys, I was hot. I spent 2.5 hours watching this movie, caring about these people, and the man dies after one night. Now, you get a flash forward, and you see that apparently that night she ended up pregnant because she has a daughter, and she's not married to anybody else or seeing anybody else. But I watched all of that for it to end. Like, y'all don't... I'm done. I can't. So, guys, after watching that movie, for it to end the way it did, I'm curious to know if you guys have ever spent time watching something or reading something for it to end in a way where you feel like you just completely wasted your time watching it, you know? While I appreciate getting to see the Bosie character and Charlie Hunnam and seeing his progression, even though he was kind of an asshole in this movie, I found myself involved in this story, and for it to end the way that it did, I'm truly upset about it. Like, I'm pissed. So, yeah, I'd love to know if anybody's had the same experience with entertainment, or anything, really. Have you ever invested yourself into something for it to end just, like, in crap? Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I had to get that rant out because it really irritated my soul that movie ended that way. Anyway, I will talk to you later. See you in the next video. Bye, guys.